Hey there. You're listening to True Story No Cap. Real stories, no exaggeration, no lies. Just the raw, unfiltered moments life throws our way. Relax, lean back, and let's get started. Catherine's frozen gaze slid across the intricate patterns of the wallpaper. The wall clock, with its measured chime, counted the moments of a life that rushed forward without looking back. A life that had no concern for such tiny figures as 40-year-old housewife Catherine Smith. Life boiled with the roar of cars on the highway, rustled with the thick crowns of trees, rang with children's voices in the yard, whined with the neighbor's dog, and clattered with dishes in the kitchen of apartment 104. But inside Catherine, there was a ringing silence and emptiness, not a single thought, not a feeling. It seemed even the blood had stopped in her veins. "Mom, are you all right?" came the voice of her daughter, Valerie. "Oh," Catherine started. "Honey, you're home already? I didn't even hear you come in." "Yes, just now. Were you at the hospital?" Worry sounded in Valerie's voice. "And? What's the news?" she prompted her mother. "Dr. Adams said there's nothing more to hope for. The metastases are growing. Dad is unlikely to regain consciousness unless it's from unbearable pain. I don't know what to do, honey. Today, Dr. Adams hinted that it's time to think about turning off the machines." "So, that means there's really no chance?" Tears welled up in Valerie's eyes. "But that can't be, Mom. Modern medicine works miracles. People are brought back from the brink." "Valerie, dear." Catherine hugged her daughter tightly. "The doctors say it's pointless to wait for a miracle. When they turn off Dad, he might wake up, but I'm so afraid of that hellish pain, and no one knows how long he can endure it. The painkillers hardly work anymore, even the strongest ones." "Mom, why is it like this?" the girl sobbed. "Why Dad? He was always so strong. He exercised. He didn't even smoke. Cancer can't just strike so suddenly and wipe out a person in a couple of months. And everywhere they write that cancer is successfully treated now. Why isn't it like that for us?" "I don't know, my sweet. I never thought I'd have to go through something like this. When Victor first got sick, it didn't look so bad. The prognoses were encouraging. Everything turned around so quickly, no one expected it, and the treatment. One organ after another started failing. I can't explain it to you. Even the doctors are at a loss. They did everything possible, and Dad fought so hard. It's like someone cursed us." "Don't say that." Valerie grew anxious. "Do you believe in that?" "I don't know what to believe anymore. I even thought about going to a psychic. Mom insists. She found some man, says he can, and just between us, I've already arranged a meeting." "Are you serious, Mom? I understand you're desperate, but that's a scam." "Honey, I'm grasping at any straw. Don't even think about going to him. He'll just take your money. You're smart. You know how they prey on other people's grief and trust." "I'll just go, honey. If I sense a trick, I'll just leave." "But Grandma has completely lost it. It's fine for her. She believes in all sorts of nonsense. It's forgivable. But you're an engineer. You have a technical education. How can you even consider such a thing?" "We don't know a lot about life, Valerie, dear. For example, you're only 11, but you reason like an adult. Why is that?" "That's thanks to you and Dad for teaching me since childhood. And kids grow up fast now. There's no mysticism here. But charlatans, that's stupid and dangerous. It's better to look for other doctors. Maybe ours are just—" Valerie looked at her seriously. "Honey, Victor's in the best oncology clinic. World-class specialists work here. It's unlikely there's anyone more competent." "That's a sensible thought. I don't understand. If you realize that, how did you even give in to Grandma's persuasion and decide to go to some sorcerer?" "All right, let's change the subject. It's hard for me to talk about this myself." "Okay, but promise you won't pay him." "I promise." Her mother smiled weakly. "Listen, I didn't cook anything today. Maybe we can order something?" "Mom, we're tight on money right now. Let me cook something myself." Valerie smiled. "You go rest." "Yes, my sweet." Catherine hugged her daughter tightly. "Just don't overdo it. I don't have much appetite. By the way, there are dumplings in the freezer. We can boil those." "We'll ruin our stomachs with dumplings. We just ate them yesterday." "So, it's perfectly healthy food, dough and meat?" "That's when you make them yourself," Valerie countered. "With store-bought ones, you don't know what's mixed in." No, I'll make something proper. I'll at least fry some potatoes. We have chicken. All right, honey, fine. I'll lie down for a bit. Catherine lay down on the sofa. She felt ashamed that her daughter was busy in the kitchen, but at the same time she was happy that the girl was growing up so independent and caring. Early that morning, Catherine, without telling her daughter, went to meet the psychic. She called work to say she would be late, lying about visiting her husband in the hospital. At work, they sincerely sympathized with her, as Catherine had always been a favorite with her colleagues, and her grief resonated with pain in their hearts. Contrary to expectations, the psychic did not live in an abandoned house, but in a normal apartment in a residential area. Catherine dialed the number on the intercom, and almost immediately an inviting beep sounded. The elevator took her to the 8th floor. On the landing, a man of indeterminate age in a coffee-colored tracksuit was waiting. He looked quite attractive and didn't resemble the black-cloaked magicians of Catherine's imagination at all. "Hello, Catherine," the man smiled pleasantly. "My name is Arthur. Please come in." He let Catherine into the apartment. Spacious, bright. No bunches of herbs, no chicken feet in jars. A normal modern city apartment. "I see your surprise," Arthur smiled. "Were you expecting a medieval alchemist's dwelling?" "To be honest, yes." Catherine smiled sheepishly. "I'll tell you right away, I'm skeptical. I'm a structural engineer. I don't believe in all this much." "And you don't need to believe. To each their own. Higher powers have gifted me with the ability to see what is inaccessible to many. You have the talent to design buildings, which is inaccessible to me. Logical? So you won't be looking into a crystal ball?" "Good heavens, my dear. That's for charlatans. I work with energy, not witchcraft. You believe in energy, don't you?" "Energy?" Catherine frowned. "Well, yes, electromagnetism, kinetic, potential. The laws of physics are known from school." "Exactly. But modern physics has only studied a small part of the universe. Energy is not limited to known forms. What, in your opinion, is the soul?" "The soul?" Catherine thought. "Well, they say it's what makes us human." "They say correctly. And what do you think yourself? Not in a religious sense." "The soul is a kind of driving force within us," Catherine began. "Ah, I see what you're getting at. The soul is also energy?" "How else? We don't see it, but we feel it, like any other energy. And our thoughts are also energy. The body is subject to physics, chemistry, biology, but at the core of everything is energy. Have you heard of the aura, the energy shell? Everyone has it. Research confirms the existence of a biofield and the possibility of controlling it. There are simply people like me who can manage it. I've been practicing for 30 years. I was once just as skeptical, believing only in physics. I worked at a nuclear power plant, and after 40, something happened that turned my world upside down." "Excuse my immodesty," Catherine interrupted. "How old are you?" 75, Arthur smiled. "That can't be," the woman gasped. "You look about 40. "Yes, I know. It's like I froze at that age. I was 43. There was an accident at the reactor. There was almost no chance to fix it. No one wanted a repeat of Chernobyl. Time seemed to condense. I did something that I still can't explain. Even less so back then." "What was it?" Catherine held her breath. "I thought, or rather, I envisioned the explosion, the consequences, like replaying a movie. And then I rewound it, back to the moment of the mistake. The inexperienced shift supervisor fell asleep, missed the overheating, and I seemed to return to the moment he closed his eyes. I don't know how quickly I realized, but I understood. The future depended on me. I ran to the control room. The kid was dozing. The instruments were off the charts. I shook him awake. We reacted quickly, called the right people, prevented a catastrophe." "So you time traveled?" "No, that's impossible. Something else happened. It was like I fell into a prolonged déjà vu. I foresaw all the events. And it happened when I fell asleep. It was a difficult day. I violated instructions, I confess. If I'd fallen asleep then, the catastrophe would have happened. More precisely, I fell asleep, but at that moment I had a vision, thanks to which I saved everyone. It sounds improbable, there's no information about it. Nothing happened after all. But since then, I started looking for an explanation for my abilities. Strange things began to happen. I started seeing the future and not in dreams. Sharp shifts in consciousness. I was afraid. Then I found a person who explained it. You wouldn't believe the details. Since then, I've dedicated my life to this. I lived in India for a long time studying energy practices. My physics education hindered me, but then I started connecting the known with what I was learning. Now I can look into the future and the past. Don't think of me as a wizard. I can't influence much, but I can help. The main thing I understood, the universe is subject to the laws of energy. If you tune into the right frequency, a lot opens up. I'm not omniscient, I'm a transmitter. I catch signals from the information field and broadcast them. Let's say I believe you, Catherine frowned skeptically. Although it's beyond comprehension, my mother recommended you. I'm in a difficult situation. I don't know what to do or what to expect. Tell me, don't be afraid, it will stay between us. If I can help, I will, only... Catherine hesitated. Money? Arthur smiled sadly and nodded. My daughter let me come on the condition that I don't pay anything. There are a lot of fraudsters, you understand. We are in a difficult situation right now. Catherine. Arthur placed his hand on her shoulder, and Catherine felt relief. I don't charge for my services. Any reward is your decision. The gift belongs to everyone. If I charged fees, I'd live in a mansion, not this 2-room apartment. Perhaps it's unreasonable, but I've decided and I won't change. But how do you live then? On what? I write term papers for students, Arthur laughed. You won't believe it, the income is decent. And I justify my education. Well, Catherine drew out. All right, let's try. 6 months ago, my husband Victor got sick. Suddenly, I was at home, he just lost consciousness, felt dizzy. Victor is young, healthy. Imagine how scared I was. Ambulance, he was unconscious, hospital. And there, liver cancer. Victor doesn't drink, nothing like that. It's not detected in the early stages. Everything was fine, the doctors took it on. The tests were promising. They promised it was treatable. He was recovering for almost 6 months, but suddenly he got worse. He was hospitalized urgently. Examination, metastases, organs affected. Chemo, radiation didn't help. Now Victor is almost unconscious, on painkillers, in an induced coma. Ventilator, machines. I don't understand. I only see how my beloved husband, but I can't. We have a daughter, Valerie. She adores her father. It's harder for her. I can't imagine what it will be like without Victor. So, official medicine doesn't understand the reasons for such rapid progress? Arthur frowned. Show me a photo of your husband. Catherine opened a photo on her phone and handed it over. Arthur looked for a long time, closed his eyes, fell silent. Catherine didn't dare to ask. He sank into a trance. He opened his eyes, exhaled loudly. Catherine realized he hadn't breathed for about 10 minutes. Well, she asked impatiently. I'll be direct. There's no hope of saving Victor, but... But? Catherine repeated. Nothing can be fixed here. Your husband has been subjected to outside influence. It caused the illness. When he was recovering, the influence was repeated, stronger, and the illness progressed rapidly. What do you mean? Catherine's eyes widened. What influence? A hex? A curse? Many call it that. I prefer influence. But who? Who could decide to do that? Victor had no enemies. I will describe this person to you, Arthur nodded. More precisely, 2 people. The first is a woman in her 40s, ash blonde, plump, short, long bright nails, many rings, wears glasses. Thinks only about money, went through a divorce because of it, she's not settling down. She's in Victor's close circle, exerted physical influence through a liquid. The second is a young man, brown-haired, thin, slightly stooped. A scar near his lip. Compliant, easily led under the woman's influence. Also close to Victor. Practices rituals. He has powerful but negative energy. The woman is using him to destroy Victor. They are probably relatives. Yes. Catherine paled. You described Victor's older sister, Eleanor, and his stepbrother, Stephen. My God, how did you see that? Is it true? Why? Why would they ruin their brother? Greed? Victor always helped them, especially after Eleanor's divorce. She was left with nothing, her husband sued. Eleanor seems pleasant on the surface, but she can't treat Victor like that. He supported her. And Stephen? He adored Victor. Stephen is under Eleanor's influence. She's like hypnotizing him. His mind is like a film. He doesn't understand why he's doing it. If you had come earlier, it could have been removed, but now... Maybe we can still try, Catherine whispered. She believed Arthur. I can do a cleansing, but it will only ease Victor's suffering and give him a maximum of a few weeks. The influence is strong, at a stage where it cannot be removed. It's one thing when the soul, the energy is affected, another when the body is almost destroyed. I agree to anything. I want Victor to at least regain consciousness, to suffer less. I can't let him go like this without saying goodbye. All right, Arthur nodded. I'll do everything possible, but be prepared for the worst. I don't see a favorable outcome. What do you need from me? Direct contact with my husband. Can that be arranged? Yes. You can go to the hospital today. I'll introduce you as a relative. He's in a private room. No one will disturb us. We can go now. I don't want to waste time. There's very little of it. Arthur left. Catherine was left with her thoughts. It was hard to believe this was true. Why? She was indignant. Victor did everything for them. What do they get from his death? I always suspected Eleanor, but to this extent. They smile sweetly, ask for help. Family? After their parents died, Victor took care of Stephen, paid for his university. His stepmother didn't let them see each other, and when her life started falling apart, she rushed over. I don't understand, my God. Why didn't Mom tell me about this man earlier? Although, who am I kidding? I would have laughed. Lord, give me strength. Arthur returned in a summer suit, looking presentable. The doctors won't mistake me for a sorcerer, will they? Otherwise, they'll admit both of us to the hospital. No, of course not, Catherine replied. Don't worry. When I'm there, no one comes in. They don't disturb us. Excellent, the psychic nodded. Then let's go. The bright July sun pierced through the blinds. Catherine looked at her husband entwined with tubes and shuddered. The man she had lived with for so many years. Instead of a living face, something white-gray, with dark circles under his eyelids. Victor had lost a lot of weight, his cheekbones covered with thin skin. Catherine gently took his hand. His fingers were dry, cool, as if no life remained. Arthur stood modestly by the entrance with a small leather bag. Arthur, come here, Catherine called. The man sat on a chair. Here, Victor has been in this state for almost a month. May I? Arthur looked inquiringly. Catherine nodded. Arthur carefully took Victor's hand. He sat with his eyes closed for a few minutes, then abruptly stood up, reached for his bag. He took out a small bag of salt and a black candle. Please step out, Catherine. No one should be present. If someone tries to enter, distract them. I will now take an energy sample onto this salt using the candle. The main work will be done at home, but I couldn't do it without personal contact. Understood, the woman nodded and left. Catherine sat on a small sofa in the corridor. There was no staff around. The minutes dragged on. Suddenly, a nurse with an IV bag fluttered out from around the corner, heading towards the room. Catherine became anxious. Oh, you can't go in there, she squeaked, blocking the way. Why? The nurse was taken aback. I need to give him medication. It's time. You see, Catherine stammered. His uncle from Vladivostok came, specially by train. Can you imagine? They haven't seen each other in 10 years. He came to say goodbye. Even I came out, left them alone. I don't want to disturb them. His uncle is very worried. They used to be close, just about 10 minutes. He'll be out soon. 10 minutes? The nurse looked at her watch. All right, just don't tell Dr. Adams. He'll scold me. There's a little time. Let the uncle stay. But I'll be back in exactly 10 minutes, okay? Okay, Catherine nodded. When the nurse entered the next room, Catherine exhaled. The last thing she needed was for the medical staff to see a wife in despair bringing sorcerers to the hospital. Arthur peeked out. Catherine, I'm finished. I'll continue at home. Thank you, Catherine smiled weakly. At that moment, the nurse appeared. Well, did the uncle have his chat? She winked. Now let me take care of him. Arthur and Catherine left the hospital. They said goodbye, and Catherine went to work. The rest of the day passed in gloomy reflection. Work wasn't going well. Her boss delicately sent her home. On Saturday afternoon, Catherine started at the sound of the phone ringing. The sound was so alarming that she immediately felt a wave of anxiety. "Hello?" she answered breathlessly. "Catherine," it was Dr. Adams' voice. "Can you come?" "Yes, of course. Has something happened?" Her anxiety grew. "Yes, but don't worry. Victor has regained consciousness. We are disconnecting the equipment now." "My God. Yes, of course. I'll be right there." Catherine rushed to get ready. The chances of Victor waking up were 0. The explanation, Arthur's cleansing. "Valerie," she shouted, "get ready quickly. Dad is woken up." "Really?" Her daughter froze. "Honey, what are you standing there for? Faster." "Yes, Mommy, I'm ready. I won't change." 25 minutes later, they were in the hospital lobby. The elevator wasn't moving, stuck between floors. "What is going on?" Catherine exclaimed, indignant. "One is broken, the other is busy. Let's take the stairs." She grabbed Valerie's hand and pulled her up. Dr. Adams was waiting by the room. "Hello, ladies," he smiled gently. "All right now. No panic and no unnecessary emotions. Victor is awake but very weak. The nurse gave him a painkiller. Surprisingly, he said he doesn't feel anything." "Thank you, Dr. Adams." Catherine was crying. "Mom, what's wrong?" Valerie stroked her. "Is that good news?" "Don't rush," the doctor interrupted. "We can't explain how this happened, but his condition is critical." Catherine and Valerie entered. At first glance, nothing had changed, but Catherine noticed that there were almost no tubes on her husband's face. Victor was breathing on his own. Hearing footsteps, he opened his eyes, focused, and smiled weakly. The smile was eerie, but for Catherine, it was the most precious thing. "Victor, dear," she rushed to him. "Daddy, hi," Valerie sobbed. "My girls," Victor whispered hoarsely. "I thought I wouldn't see you." "Hush, hush, my love," Catherine cried. "Don't talk yet. Your vocal cords are weak. We came as soon as the doctor called." "But how? My God." "Mommy, calm down. It's all right." Valerie supported her. "Have some water." They tried to talk, but Victor was weak and the women were in shock. "Valerie, I need to tell your mother something important. Leave us." "Dad, are you serious?" the girl protested. "We're a family, no secrets." "All right, I'm joking. I understand. You want to be alone. I'll go get a chocolate bar." Valerie left. The door closed. Victor squeezed Catherine's hands tightly until it hurt. "Victor, be careful. You shouldn't strain yourself." "Kathy, listen carefully. We don't have much time." Her husband's voice became more confident, firmer, the raspiness almost gone. But his eyes frightened Catherine. Dark, unnaturally glittering. "Victor, dear, everything will be all right now." "No, Kathy, don't fool yourself. It will be all right, but for Valerie, listen." "Don't say that," Catherine sobbed. "Kathy, don't interrupt, please. There's little time. I don't know how long I'll last. I saw something. I don't know how to explain it. I was in darkness, then light. A man in a suit. He was pulling me, talking. Like a dream, but not a dream. I saw Eleanor. She was like tying me up. Stephen was nearby. They were taking me apart like a construction set, and that man said they brought it to harm Valerie." "Victor, why? Why? Because of the apartment? What about the apartment? What nonsense?" "Listen, I didn't tell you, but you know our apartment is from my grandfather. He was nobody to Stephen, but family to Eleanor. He left everything to me. My relationship with Eleanor is bad, but she couldn't accept that she got nothing. And then I did something foolish. We didn't even know each other yet. I wrote a will leaving it to her." "Why?" Catherine exclaimed. "It's a long story. I didn't think I'd have a family back then. I love my sister, you know, even though she's difficult. We agreed then, almost as a joke, to calm her down, not to ruin the relationship. I wrote, in case of my death, the apartment goes to her. 14 years ago. Then she got married. It was all forgotten. I didn't remember it myself, especially after you came along. But then something happened. I don't know what with Eleanor, how she decided to get rid of me. I seem to be helping her. What else does she need? I can't believe she's capable of destroying her own brother for a few square meters. The apartment is worth a lot now. My grandfather wasn't poor. The apartment was from the factory. He was a manager. The apartment was accordingly large. If you sell it, you can buy a couple in new buildings, and there'll still be money left. Apparently it's greed. But it's like someone put the idea in her head. And Stephen is under influence. He's had abilities since childhood. His mother took him to a witch. Dad and I didn't believe in it. But Eleanor was interested. Once I caught them with dolls. Dad burned everything, got scared, forbade the mumbo-jumbo. He was religious. It was all forgotten. And now Eleanor decided to bring Stephen out of the shadows. I don't know what she did to him, how she convinced him. But they started doing this. There's no other explanation. I understand. It was him wandering around cemeteries. I don't know what he was doing there. I saw my sister's face. She was looking like that. I woke up. I know I don't have long. I need to stop them in time. That's not all. I feel she'll turn on you and Valerie, too, to eliminate competitors. The notary will be here soon. I'll re-register the apartment to you. She has the will, otherwise she'll kick you out. I need to secure it. That man from the vision, he can help, but I don't know where to find him. I know, Catherine replied quietly. What? How? Where from? Victor was surprised. Victor, I went to him. It's madness, I know, but Mom insisted. I was desperate. You understand? The man, Arthur, a seer. It's funny, a physicist. I believed him. He described your sister, told me everything. You know, I don't believe in magic. I'm a pragmatist. But Arthur convinced me, and the fact that you woke up is his doing. He was cleansing you. He said right away there was no hope, but... Yes, my girl, I can't be saved. You and Valerie need to take care of yourselves. Meet with Arthur. He'll tell you what to do. Victor, dear, I love you so much, Catherine cried. I don't want you to leave. Sweetheart, I'll always be with you. Now I know death isn't the end. There's something we don't know about. I'll stay nearby. As a soul, not a body. It doesn't matter. Victor winced. My love, are you in pain? Catherine was scared. It's all right, he rasped. Call the doctor. Catherine rushed out for the medical staff. Dr. Adams, seeing her, hurried into the room. Catherine sat with Valerie in the corridor. The notary arrived. He was with Victor for a long time. He came out and Catherine was allowed to enter. Victor lay motionless. The nurse was setting up an IV. Seeing Catherine and Valerie, Victor smiled weakly, said nothing. A cold rain was drizzling. Catherine, swallowing tears, watched as clumps of earth fell dully onto the coffin lid. She was the last to approach. Holding Valerie tightly with semi-paralyzed fingers, she scooped up a handful of earth and threw it down. Valerie repeated the action. Catherine barely remembered the rest. How they buried him, how they led them away, how they put them in a taxi. Martha was grateful to her. Honey, Martha said, go home, I'll manage here. There aren't many people left. I'll come later. It's better if you sleep. You need to get through this. Here, a sedative. Take the pills and go to bed. Mom, why weren't Eleanor and Stephen at the funeral? Are they out of town? Did something happen? Although, what could happen when their brother died? I don't know, Catherine shivered. She had called Eleanor, but she didn't answer. She went to her house, but no one opened the door. She couldn't find Stephen either. It was unclear where they had disappeared to, or if they knew about the death. There's no contact with them. I thought the hospital or acquaintances would inform them. I don't understand where they are. Essentially, they are Victor's closest relatives. His aunt came, even though they hadn't seen each other in 5 years. But these two aren't here. I don't know, Mom. What happened? This is wrong. And anyway, we need to talk later about Eleanor and Stephen. I have some unpleasant information from Arthur. From Arthur? Martha's eyes lit up. You went to see him? I didn't just go. I'll tell you later. Here's the taxi. Valerie looks terrible. All right, honey, rest. Take the pills. I'll come over tonight. I have the keys. Okay, Mommy. Catherine hugged her mother tightly. Martha was busy in the kitchen when Catherine woke up. She had given her a sedative and sleeping pills, but Catherine had slept restlessly. She dreamed of Victor, the funeral, the commotion in the hospital, and Victor's grandfather, whom Catherine had never seen but knew it was him. "Did you get some sleep?" Martha asked anxiously. "You and Valerie should go away while it's vacation. A change of scenery will help, and to get over your grief." "You know, we had already accepted it while Victor was in a coma, but when he woke up, hope appeared. Now I understand. Those 30 minutes were a final push to talk. I'm glad we managed, otherwise we'd be blaming ourselves. Mom, I want to tell you everything." Catherine spoke for a long time, telling how she decided to go to the psychic, what he said, how he appeared to Victor, helped him wake up. "See, I told you should go. Reliable people recommended him to me, they wouldn't lie. Arthur helped them. It's a shame it didn't happen earlier. Otherwise, Victor... But what's done is done. The relatives, of course. A nightmare. How could they do it? And there's no way to punish them. Arthur said karma catches up with those who do evil. God will punish them or energy according to the law of balance. As much evil is done, that much will return. But by law they should be punished. Mom, what law? They'll laugh at us. There's no proof. That's true. You know what I'm afraid of? Victor said Eleanor won't stop. She'll want to harm me and Valerie. I want to consult with Arthur on how to protect ourselves. Do you think she'll dare? With Victor, the motive was greed. The apartment. You said he managed to register everything. Annul the old will. She must understand that in case of your death, God forbid, she'll get nothing. She's not your relative. Nothing will be inherited by her. And anyway, does she even know that she won't get anything? Probably not. Victor didn't have time to tell her. She likely doesn't even know about his death. But I think she does. Stephen must understand that the rituals worked, although I don't understand how it works. But still, even if she knows and is waiting, what do you have to do with it? Her plan was to kick you out, and it's unknown if I interpreted correctly. I don't know, Catherine shrugged. I can't just go to her and ask. I'll try to find out through Arthur. The next day, Catherine invited the psychic over. Valerie opened the door. Hello, the girl looked at the guest carefully. I imagined you differently. You look like an ordinary person. Come in, Mom is waiting. Hello, Valerie. Honestly, I imagined you differently too. An 11-year-old girl is usually with bows and dolls. You're out of touch. Valerie smiled slightly. When was that? At 11, a personality is formed. I can already write programs easily, develop applications. One of them they want to buy. Wow, Arthur whistled. A serious girl. You're far from that. Mathematics isn't magic, but I don't believe in it, even if Mom was convinced. I think it's a coincidence that Dad woke up. You're wrong to think, Valerie, that I don't know about mathematics. Mom didn't tell you, but I used to work as a lead engineer at a nuclear power plant. Physics and mathematics are sisters. No way, the girl exclaimed. How did a physicist get into pseudoscience? Undisproved isn't false. I'm not a wizard, but I connect with the information field. How is that not physics? Predictions are pure mathematics, probability, nothing supernatural. To believe or not is your choice. Now I need to talk to your mother. You know, I'll probably allow that you're not deceiving me, especially since you're not asking for money. It's strange. Nowadays, no one will even spit for free. Money isn't the main thing, Valerie. It's a cliché, but it's true. The gift isn't for profit. I studied at university for this, and what is given from above, I have no right to demand compensation. Interesting, Valerie mused. All right, I won't keep you. Mom is in the kitchen. Arthur went into the kitchen. Catherine was setting the table. Yes, of course, Catherine smiled. The situation is this. Before he died, Victor said he talked to you there, in the astral plane. Not the astral plane, don't confuse it, Arthur corrected, in your reality. There he saw that Eleanor intends to harm me and Valerie. I don't know if you're aware of the will, but Victor managed to sign the apartment over to me, the one Eleanor is claiming. That same apartment? Arthur nodded. Yes, it was my husband's from his grandfather. He foolishly made a will for his sister to smooth things over. Now it's annulled. I'm afraid Eleanor will seek revenge or try to get rid of us to become the sole heir. Yes, that woman is capable of anything. You did the right thing by telling me. I can't completely neutralize it without personal contact, and she doesn't work alone. Stephen needs to be stopped, and they've both disappeared. They weren't at the funeral. Yes, I have a feeling they're planning something. I'm trying to reason with myself, I understand, but the feeling of danger doesn't leave me. Catherine, I can put a protection on you and your daughter, like a shield against their attacks. Formally, a cocoon of dense energy. You won't feel it. The only thing is, during the installation, you need to clear your mind to connect to the energy points. There won't be problems with you, but Valerie, she's skeptical. That can interfere. Talk to your daughter. I can't build the cocoon without her consent. Yes, of course. When can we do it? Right now. Let me call Valerie. We'll explain together. It's simpler that way. You see, I told her. She reacted. She barely believes it. We'll try to convince her, Arthur smiled. Valerie, Catherine called. Come here. What is it? The girl's worried face appeared in the doorway. Valerie, dear, sit down. We need to talk, her mother called gently. I'm listening. Valerie sat down, crossing her arms. Honey, I know what I'm about to say will cause indignation, but as a sign of respect, love for me, and memory of your father, please take it seriously. All right, I'll try, the girl winced. Your father's situation is the work of your Aunt Eleanor. She used magical influence, caused the illness. The reason is money, our apartment. Your father made a will for her, and she decided to act radically. She doesn't know that he rewrote it to us, but your father warned us before he died that we are now in danger. She won't stop. She might start seeking revenge. Seriously? The girl was horrified. I always hated her, that nasty aunt. And Dad helped her. I knew it was her. Valerie burst into tears. Catherine hadn't expected this. Mom, she sobbed. Is it true? Is Auntie a witch? No, dear, not a witch. But your Uncle Stephen has abilities, and she took advantage of them. Uncle Stephen, too? Impossible. He loved Dad. He's a good person. Valerie, Arthur intervened. There are people like that. Good people who don't wish harm. But they are easily influenced. Your uncle is being manipulated. His abilities are being used for evil. He's like under hypnosis. It's pointless to blame him. But I would be wary of your aunt. Does she want to get rid of us, too? Valerie recoiled in horror. It's hard to say. I don't see her intentions. Arthur shook his head. I'm not omnipotent. I can't see at a distance. To understand the plan, I need contact. I don't want her to come here. She won't, her mother reassured her. Eleanor and Stephen have disappeared. You noticed they weren't at the funeral. Maybe they punished themselves? Had an accident? Valerie, don't say that, Catherine said sternly. Wishing evil brings it upon yourself. Their fate will catch up with them. But for now, we need to make sure they don't harm us. Is that possible? Valerie became serious. Look what they did to Dad. Auntie was smiling calmly, knowing he was dying because of her. I can protect you, Arthur said. I'll put up a shield that Eleanor can't break through. But you must believe with all your heart, accept it. Otherwise it won't work. Valerie, you're interested in programming. What I do with energy is programming. I rewrite factory settings. Protection is antivirus. It catches attacks, deletes them, quarantines them, sends them back. Then I'll remove it. Do you understand? Uh-huh, the girl nodded. I suggest we start now. Otherwise, we'll lose time, which will turn against us. Who knows, maybe Eleanor has already started. Arthur performed manipulations for 2 hours. Catherine and Valerie sat, immersed in meditation. When he finished, the man woke them up. Well, girls, the work is done. You don't have to be afraid. As soon as Eleanor appears, let me know. Thank you, Arthur, Catherine smiled. I believe you. I hope it helps. Maybe I should pay you after all? Catherine, you've paid in full. I haven't had such a delicious lunch in years. Arthur smiled and headed for the exit. After he left, mother and daughter talked for a long time, discussing everything. Less than a month had passed since Victor's death. Catherine was gradually getting used to the idea that he was gone. She remembered his words that he would always be near. It was getting easier. Valerie was also recovering. School was 2 weeks away. She was getting ready, went shopping for notebooks with her grandmother, met up with friends. That day, Valerie returned from her grandmother's in a good mood. She was showing off a new tracksuit. Trying it on, she twirled by the mirror. Suddenly, she turned pale, clutching her temples. "Valerie, what's wrong?" Catherine became worried. "I'm dizzy," her daughter replied. "It's stuffy these last hot days, and you put on a tracksuit. I'll pour you some lemonade," her mother suggested. "Take off that fancy outfit and come to the kitchen. We'll sit on the balcony. The weather is wonderful." Catherine went to the kitchen, got glasses, lemonade. She threw in ice, poured it, and carried it out to the balcony. She sat in an armchair, turning her face to the sun. Summer will be over soon, she thought. It's been a hard one. How will we manage without Victor? Valerie is growing up. My salary won't be enough. Earn money myself? I heard they pay well in this field. They attract teenagers. But that's just a hobby. I need to do something about work. I won't sell the apartment. Everything of Victor's is here. It would be betraying his memory. Mommy won't let us be destitute. But in my situation, a promotion? Mr. Smith is retiring. How long has he been training me? Can I handle it? You won't know unless you try. Where's Valerie? The lemonade will get warm. "Valerie," Catherine called. "Where are you? The ice has melted." Her daughter didn't answer. Catherine felt a chill in her chest. She stepped off the balcony, remembering how her daughter had turned pale. Valerie was lying by the mirror, still in her tracksuit. Unconscious, hot. "My God! Valerie, wake up!" Catherine slapped her cheeks. She was wheezing. Her mother called an ambulance, ran for a cold compress. The cold brought her back to consciousness. Valerie slightly opened her eyes, mumbled. Catherine dragged her to the bed, took off her jacket. Valerie was red, sweating. The ambulance arrived quickly. The doctor gave her an injection, and Valerie woke up. "Mom," she mumbled, "I'm fine." "Sweetheart," Catherine stroked her, "how scared I was." "Most likely she overheated," the doctor frowned. "To the hospital?" "No," Valerie moaned, "just not the hospital." Catherine understood her daughter's associations, looked at the doctor. "You can sign a refusal. I'll prescribe medication in case the temperature rises. If it goes higher, call immediately." "All right," Catherine nodded. The temperature rose again, but did not exceed the threshold. Catherine did not rush to call. Valerie lay in bed, having taken the pills. Her mother changed the compresses. "It's the air conditioner. We sat under it yesterday. I have a cold, and you got sick." "It's nothing. It will pass. I need to sleep. My head hurts," Valerie said quietly. "It was the same when I had the flu. But that was in winter." "Don't worry. It's not the flu. You just caught a chill. The bug is leaving. The medicine will help." The doorbell rang. "Who is it so late?" Catherine was surprised. "It's 9 in the evening." "Maybe Grandma?" Valerie looked at her mother. "She shouldn't. She has keys. She wouldn't ring. You stay in bed. I'll go see." Catherine went out, looked through the peephole, and recoiled. Eleanor and Stephen. Hesitating, she took a breath and opened the door. "Catherine? Well, honestly, we thought no one was home." Eleanor threw up her hands. "Where have you been?" Catherine attacked. "Do you know Victor is gone? I've been looking for you for a month. No one knows anything. Your phones are off." "Catherine, I'll explain." Eleanor pushed her aside with her shoulder and entered. Stephen followed, silent as a shadow. Catherine felt uneasy. She didn't want to let them in, but she couldn't resist the pressure. Eleanor walked into the living room as if she owned the place and sat down on the sofa. Stephen stood next to her, eyes downcast. "I'll be right back," Catherine said, her eyes flashing. "Valerie isn't feeling well." She thought Eleanor gave a satisfied hum. Catherine returned to the bedroom. "Valerie, don't get up. Victor's sister and brother are here," she whispered. "I'll call Arthur. I'm scared with them here, but more so for you. Lock the door from the inside. You mustn't let that woman see you in case she tries something." Catherine typed a message to Arthur, explained the situation. He replied immediately, told her not to let them leave, and promised to come. Catherine replied and went out. And Valerie isn't coming out to say hello? We haven't seen her in a long time, Eleanor said ominously. Valerie isn't feeling well another time, Catherine replied sharply. Explain what's going on. Where did you disappear to? We didn't disappear anywhere, Eleanor laughed. We were at home. Right, Stephen? Stephen nodded silently. Catherine was taken aback. At home? Why didn't you answer? Why didn't you come to the funeral? Victor died, your own brother, and you stayed home? It's our business whether we come or not, and your business is to quickly pack your things and leave this apartment with your sick daughter. This is it flashed through Catherine's mind. It started. I wish Arthur would hurry. I'm scared being near her. What do you mean? Catherine pretended to be surprised. Why should I leave my apartment? Because of this. Eleanor held out a folder with documents. Catherine quickly glanced through them, then calmly placed the folder on the table. Firstly, she began coolly, feeling triumphant, as far as I know, a will comes into effect 6 months after death. You have no right to live here until you officially become the owner. That's a strange reaction, Eleanor tensed. Aren't you surprised that I brought the will? That you're losing your home? All right, legally you're right. I'll wait. Although... But since there was a firstly, there will also be a secondly, Catherine continued just as coolly, without reacting, enunciating clearly. Secondly, this piece of paper hasn't been legally valid for over a month. Before coming here and waving this around, you should have bothered to find out who the current owner is. What are you talking about? Eleanor jumped up. Why is the will invalid? Victor has been unconscious for the past few months. I checked in June. Thirdly, Catherine cut her off. Victor regained consciousness. If you had been interested in how he was doing in the hospital, you would have known. During that time, a notary visited him, and the will was rewritten. You have no right to be here. Not now, not in 5 months. Catherine stood up, pointed to the door. Oh, yes, fourthly, she smirked. I know everything. My husband's death was your doing. I can't prove it, but I don't need to. Karma will catch up with you. You monsters. Killing your own brother for brick walls. Oh, really? Eleanor bristled. So that's it. You were right, Stephen, this woman suspected. It's a good thing we hedged our bets. What are you talking about? Catherine paled. I'm setting a condition. We go to the notary now, and you sign a deed of gift to me. Yeah, right. Just let me tie my shoes, Catherine scoffed. It's up to you, Eleanor rolled her eyes. Stephen, go. Stephen took out a small bag and reached inside. Loud sounds came from Valerie's room. I'll be right there. Catherine darted towards the door. Don't rush. Eleanor grabbed her. You can't help her. If you resist, Valerie will burn. You say you know what we're capable of? Your niece is in Stephen's hands right now. Get ready, to the notary. A refusal of inheritance, a power of attorney, whatever it takes. But you'll give me the apartment, understood? Otherwise, you'll lose your daughter. No one is losing anyone, Arthur's voice rang out. And who are you? Eleanor glared at him maliciously. The one who will make you pay for Dad's death. A completely healthy Valerie peered out from behind Arthur's back. What's happening? Stephen? Why isn't it working? Eleanor shrieked. Stephen reached into the bag again. Valerie made a drawn-out sound, but then immediately laughed. It won't work, she shouted at her aunt. You messed with the wrong people. Mom, kick them out. They can't do anything anymore. But Catherine was confused. Leave the apartment or I'm calling the police. You'll explain where the remains came from, Arthur said sternly. What? What remains? Catherine looked at him uncomprehendingly. Remains collected from cemeteries. You can get arrested for that. I'm asking nicely, leave. You'll regret this, Eleanor hissed, heading for the exit. Stephen scurried after her. You won't have time, Arthur laughed. Karma will catch up with you sooner. Do you think you can play with fate? I saw how it ends for you. Go. You'll find out for yourselves soon. When the uninvited guests left, Catherine locked the door and demanded an explanation. I arrived almost immediately. Don't ask how I got here so fast. You wouldn't believe it. Arthur smiled, patting Valerie's head. You were lucky you didn't lock the door. I came in, heard the noise. I felt their energy, went to Valerie. The girl didn't fully believe they broke through the shield. It's a good thing you called, otherwise there would have been trouble. I removed everything. They won't bother you anymore. How can I be sure? Catherine asked. Eleanor is evil. She'll find a way. She won't have time. Why? Catherine frowned. You'll find out from the news tomorrow, Arthur smiled mysteriously. Please forgive me. I need to sleep. I'm going home to recover after the work. It was nice meeting you, even under these circumstances. Goodbye. Arthur got up and left.